We're continuing Torah Zayin, Chelik Beis, Gemara Tanina. We are holding in the middle of, it's actually Sif Tes, I believe. And we're going into some deep inyonim. So, yeah, we are. No, Tes, in the middle. Okay, we're not starting at the beginning. I don't know, but what we're holding basically is a mashim is gole heros harotzon beis achila. This is the second, it's the third. No, it's the second paragraph on the left-hand side column. I'm not sure exactly how it is. Anyhow, so we are holding in the fact the same. We discussed the profound union of Eros and Makifin when the attainment of these surrounding asagas. So we said that there is a pnimi and a makif. Pnimi is what you already understand. Makif is what you will understand in Hashem. You have a certain notion, you have a certain idea of what it's about, but you still don't understand it, and you still don't know it. It's just a kind of. So we said that individually, every person has his own pnimi, his own makif, his own inner light and surrounding light. What he understands and what he doesn't understand yet. We also said that it's individual. Every person has his own pnimi and his own makif. And it could be two people, one person's makif, something which is, he just imagines where he has some kind of a notion of. By another person, it's even below his pnimi. I mean, it's like child's play for him. But nevertheless, there is the tzaddik ador, that by him, his makifin is already makifin that is beyond time, which is why he has to be careful what to reveal, what not to reveal, because makifin come in when you communicate your pnimi. So you say it out, you get a makif. We said this Moshe Rabbeinu, Kadosh Baruch Hu, Bakiva, Kadosh Baruch Hu says, tell Moshe Rabbeinu, be quiet. This is what the thought was. When he had a question about the Bakiva, what's the kasha? And Rabbeinu explained that when he asked the question, he already understood the teretz. But the be quiet, because Baruch Hu told him not about the question, because he already asked the question, but about the teretz, because now when he asked it, the makif came in. He understood the teretz for it. Because Baruch Hu told him, be quiet, don't reveal the teretz. Because if you do that, there'll be another makif coming in, and now the difficulty will be even greater. You won't be able to handle it.
Teretz meaning
answer, yeah. It's just,
you won't be.
What?
You said you won't be able to handle it.
We're talking about makifim was beyond time. But Baruch Hu told him, listen, this is as far as this goes. This is as far as you go. Don't let another makif in, because if you do, you won't be able to handle it, because it's Moshe Rabbeinu. Yeah, you won't be able to handle it. So just leave it at that. So we said that when the makif comes in, it's called an es, a time, an itoi. a present. And the eyes of everyone are turned to you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You're giving them their sustenance at its time. This itoy, that's the instance when the makif comes in. And we say there's a kaeti amer liYaakov l'Yisrael ma'pa'alkel. This Parsha, Balak said, now they will say to Israel and Yaakov what HaKadosh Baruch Hu has done. There's going to be a time when Am Yisrael, their hasaga is going to be beyond the malachim. It's a recurring theme. It's a Aleph in Chelik Beis that the Ish Israeli was created to have dominion over the malachim, because their makif, their status, their pnimi will be beyond the makif of the malachim. The malachim will have to ask them, what does Kadosh Baruch Hu do now? The ka'es yamer liYaakov l'Yisrael. Now, ka'es is, that's that time, the time when the makif comes in. Now we're talking about the time of eating. The time of eating, Rabbeinu says the dafka in the time of eating, there can occur, if a person is worthy of it, can occur a revelation of tremendous urge and ratzon and wish and longing for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to the point that the person doesn't even know what he wants anymore. In other words, it's like beyond words. Because the question, what has it got to do with eating? Okay, that's what we are going to learn today. And that fact that the revelation of this ratzon, this will, this volition, is expressed dafka in the time of eating, Rabbeinu starts explaining. Anybody who wants to take upon himself to be a feeder, to be somebody who provides sustenance, to give panos to those who depend on him. He needs to be a starker. He needs to be an able person. And it says, don't be an opposition. Don't be like a wet rag. Hold yourself. Shlimazel. They say that. Yeah, they say that. There is shlemiel and there's shlimazel. What's the difference between shlemiel and shlimazel? Shlemiel is somebody. And shlimazel means a bedlock. Shlemiel means a dummy. It says shlemiel is somebody who is walking around with a boiling cup of tea and stumbles and spills it on the shlimazel. That's the difference between shlimazel. It says, don't be a shlimazel. It says, a person needs a certain amount of authority. Parnasa is derived from the sphere of the Malchus, from not just the sphere of the Malchus, the whole concept of Malchus. It is said in the Melech, Daniel, Bad Nebuchadnezzar. He says, Ilana di Chazei, Nebuchadnezzar had a dream, and he sees a tree, great tree, all the birds are on it, all the animals are beneath it. And then comes an angel from above and says, Gadu Ilana, cut down the tree. And that angel, burning angel, Ir v'Kodesh, a burning and holy angel comes down and says, cut, Gadu Ilana, just cut the tree, chop the tree down. It's not George Washington who couldn't tell a lie. Here we're talking about, he chopped the church, right? Or we're talking about a malach, and the malach chops the tree down, just leaves a little bit of a stump near the ground. The Nebuchadnezzar is like, all rattled, and he forgets the dream. He just remembered that he got rattled. But what he got rattled from, he doesn't. So being the Nebuchadnezzar, by whom both Hitler and Stalin and Attila the Hun, Yimach Shemam v'Zichron, were little kids, like babes in the woods, compared to Nebuchadnezzar. So during his reign, people wouldn't smile in the streets. What are you smiling? It was such a terror. So Nebuchadnezzar, gets terrorized. And, Daniel holds the story. Daniel becomes, and Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, they all, as children, they become, in the palace of Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar has this dream, and he calls all the sages, all the astrologers in Babylon, and he tells them, "I want you to tell me what is the meaning of my dream." I said, "Cool, no problem. Just tell us what the dream is." He says, he didn't remember what the dream was. But he says, if I'm going to tell what the dream is, he's just going to dream of some kind of an explanation. How do I know that what you're saying is true? If you tell me what I dreamt and you tell me what it means, then I know that you're telling me the truth. Nobody can tell you that. Since the time of Beis Hamikdash, when the Kohen Gadol had the Urim V'Tumim, Choshen Mishpat, he had it on his heart, then a person could know, but now we cannot know. He said, Beis Hamikdash was so good for that, and you gave me an eitzah to burn it down? I'm going to finish you all off. You have 3 days to finish, to tell me what the dream is and what the explanation is, or you're all dead meat. Well, amongst the Chachamim of Babel was also Daniel. So Daniel said, tell the king to give me 3 days. But Hashem, I will tell him the dream and what it means. And Daniel fasted for 3 days and he davened to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And Mishamayim, they told him that was the dream and this is the meaning of it. So the minute Daniel comes to Nebuchadnezzar and tells him, that's the dream you dreamt. There was this huge tree that all the birds were nesting on it and all the animals got their sustenance from it. Then comes an angel from above, a burning angel, a seraph from above, and says, God will let her chuck down the tree, and they do it, and there's only a stump left. Nebuchadnezzar was in shock. So now when he told him, I remembered. And he told him, and now I will tell you what it means. He says, Ilana dichazis, that great and strong tree, that all the birds nesting on its limbs, and all the animals, are finding parnasa, the food underneath. Antu Malka, this is you, the king. That tree is a mashal for you, the Nebuchadnezzar, the king. You saw this in this tree that is so great and so strong. It has enough sustenance for all the people. This talks about you. The Melech is the one who is bringing down the Parnasa for everyone. All those belong. Because why? Because the Melech has the Malchus, the authority, completely. You need to have authority in order to sustain those who are below you. So that's one of the important things that people need to remember. when a husband has a wife and children, the wife and the children should should treat the husband, should give him malchus, should listen to what he says. Not chas v'chalila because, that he wants to chas v'chalila abuse them or anything, but he needs to have the resources of being able to give parnasa. To be able to do that, he needs malchus. He needs to have the authority. I mean, in today's world, the husband doesn't bring parnasa, so his wife puts him down. The children put him down. Hey, don't buy me this toy or that toy or whatever it is. Or, and instead of helping him, they're making it worse. Anybody who wants to receive parnasa, you want to have the parnasa coming to you, you have to have some authority, some kind of muscles. So you have some shaykhs with the malchus, because you have to have some kashan. You have shaykhs with the malchus. When you have some connection with the malchus, this is what Boaz told Ruth in the Megillah that we leaned on Shavuos. Again, we meet the word la'es, the time of. Boaz tells her, to the time of eating, come hither. Hazal said, Ein halom ela malchus. The word halom means here. But what is dafka halom? Boaz uses the word halom. Hazal said is malchus. How do we know that the word halom, which is one of the synonyms of here, when the time of eating, basically what he tells our pipshat, Boaz is telling Ruth, when it's time for lunch, come here, and eat together with everybody else. Use dafka the word halom. A couple generations later, David HaMelech is told by Nosson HaNovi that his malchus, he's already a king, and the prophet is telling him that his malchus is going to continue. He's going to be the king. His children are going to be kings of Am Yisrael forever. So David HaMelech goes to this time, obviously the time before the temple was built. They had a tent where the Oren Kodesh was stored, and outside, where the korbanos were brought, and so forth and so on. And David HaMelech comes in and he sits down before the Oren Kodesh. And he says, who am I? It's one of the most touching paragraphs. And David HaMelech said to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, making his bed this. And he says, who am I and who is my father's home? What kind of yichus do I have? Ki heviatni ad halom, that you brought me to halom, to now, to here. What is the halom? That you made me a melech. Not only made me a melech, but you made me, me and my offspring a melech forever. So halom is synonymous with the malchus. Who am I that you brought me here? Where's here? Malchus. You made me a melech. As Chazal said, whenever there's a halom, it means malchus. So when Boaz tells Ruth, in the time of eating, come here, halom. What the innuendo in this and the remez in it is Ina of Malchus. That's why Ruth is called Ima Shel Malchus. She's the mother of Malchus. Malchus means authority. Starker. So the conjunction of the time of eating come here, come halom, means that dafka in the time of eating, what has to do with parnasa, with sustenance, then you need malchus. Come halom, come malchus. A person needs memshala. Pinas malchus. That's why the pasuk says, in the time of eating, come here. Malchus will come when you need to eat, when you need food, when you need to give food. That's when the husband, takes it upon himself to give a parnasa. Gives it a ksuba. He tells he obliges himself to give a parnasa. I'm gonna work and I'm gonna cherish you and I'm gonna feed you, so forth and so on. Work and as not so he's giving a little bit of himshala. Says to Adam Rishon, when he says to Chava, he says V'hu Yimshol Bach. He tells you, you will yearn to your man, to your husband. V'hu Yimshol Bach, and you will have dominion over you. You will have himshala over you, have malchus over you. By having the authorities, not because he goes, I'm number one. I work first. I get the biggest piece of chicken. This is not what we're talking about. He needs the memshalom to be able to sustain his family. He needs that in from memshalom. The memshalom, yes, shaykhus to sphere some malchus, as he chol amshich parnosa. And kol asarim, all the ministers, all the princes, kol mishitzerchet parnosa iliyoser anoshim. Anybody who needs to give sustenance, take care of more people. He needs to have more authority. He will have the parnasa through the malchus. Just a little bit of explanation of this particular bechina. It is more easy to understand. The Zera says, Batar Oni, after a poor person, poverty chases. What is the thing that makes one person a poor person, and another person a wealthy person? This union of attitude. A rich person has a rich state of mind. Now, Kadosh Baruch Hu gives it to him so that he will have assurance. Kadosh Baruch Hu is the one who gives the wealth. But you need to have a keli. You need to have a vessel with which to contain the wealth. That container, that vessel is a state of mind. Of its time says anybody Kadosh Baruch Hu wants to make poor, Kadosh Baruch Hu makes him lazy. So it's not that being a tichtiger, being somebody who was a hustler, doing it, that brings the parnasa. It's the other way around. Baruch Hu wants to bring in parnasa, so he gives him that state of mind. Why? The answer is simple. We are created to have bechira, right? The bechira is, I'm a self-made man. Check me out. Me. If you don't have any shtadlus involved, if the check just comes, falling down from the ceiling every end of the month, every week, there'll be no bechira. Always because we're bringing from us. So Kodesh Baruch Hu created the world in such a way that the people need to do ishtadlus in order to do parnas, to have parnas. Important to Nakuda to emphasize. Everything is prescribed to you from Rosh Hashanah. But according to your Madrega of B'tochen and Emunah, if you don't do your ishtadlus, you're not going to get what was prescribed in Rosh Hashanah. Comes the question, why is it prescribed in Rosh Hashanah? What happens in Rosh Hashanah? Baruch Hu reviews everybody. Everybody's coming in. Baruch Hu checks everybody. Then during the day, Kadosh Baruch Hu reviews and decides what to do with each one. And we blow the shofar in order to mitigate the dinim and so forth and so on. What is Kadosh Baruch Hu checking out? What is our main job on Rosh Hashanah? Rosh Hashanah is not a time of tshuva. Elul is a time of tshuva, and the 10 days of Sesame Tshuva, this is a time of tshuva until Yom Kippur is obviously a time of tshuva. Rosh Hashanah is not. I mean, because something to do with Kiyah Shefer, we're allowed to mumble, and I wasn't, Rosh Hashanah is the coronation of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. This is the Malchus of Hashem. We were created to reveal the Malchus of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Now, in order to receive the Malchus, in order to reveal Malchus of the Kadosh Baruch Hu, we need to have expense accounts, right? Somebody is a salesman, all right? And so he has a salary plus an expense account. What do you need? Some people, small-time salespeople, so you get a little break for lunch. Maybe you can make yourself coffee. Yeah. There's a coffee machine, maybe even, capsule. You can make yourself a coffee. There's decaf, this, that, whatever. You can do it. Then you have a bigger salesman. A salesman that he has to go meet with big clients, and he has to play golf with them. We're talking about big money, because he has to play golf with them. He needs to buy golf clubs, right? He has to have membership with the most spitznik golf club there is, okay? He needs to have a very fancy car, right? I mean, you can, hobnob with billionaires, riding a bicycle, right? You have to have your own limo, whatever it is. That's not the salary. That's the expense account. The salary is not Nagia B'chlal. We live in order to reveal the Malchus of the Kodesh Baruch Hu in this world. That's why Kodesh Baruch Hu gives us life. That's in order to give us life, he has to give us parnasa. That parnasa is to reveal the Malchus. What does the Kodesh Baruch Hu check? Kodesh Baruch Hu check each time you're present. How did you do last year in your job of revealing the Malchus of Kodesh Baruch Hu in the world? That's your job. If you just, a small salesperson, whatever it is, okay. So the question is, if you do a good job, then you get, an expense account for next year, commensurately with the kind of job that you do. So because Baruch Hu gives it also, let's say, a tshuva, you're going to do tshuva, and with this, you elevate the amount of Malchus Kodesh Baruch Hu that you reveal. So you get more. Rosh Hashanah it is decreed for every person how much of an expense account he is going to get, commensurately with how did you do your job of exposing, of revealing the Malchus of Kadosh Baruch Hu. Malchus, Parnasa, right? One thing. Rosh Hashanah is revealing the Malchus, that's when the Parnasa is being given. And what is being given? What is given is a decree of how much you will have, but you have to make a shtadlus. So if you have Bechira, to say, Malchus Kadosh Baruch Hu, it was me, what are you talking about? I'm the one who woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning, they flew to Hong Kong, to make, it was me. That's why every person needs to do his shtadlus commensurate with his madrega of emunah. When you have emunah of such madrega, I mean, you don't do anything. We see it in the man in the midbar, right? It says the man came down. People didn't have to work. The only thing was how much each and every person revealed the Malchus of Kadosh Baruch Hu. Now, revealing the Malchus of Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't necessarily mean just to other people. It means how you behave between you and you. What do you do when nobody's looking? So what told what a person actually managed to do when they're in the midbar? Everybody was a tzaddik. Korach says, Kol ha'edo kulam kedoshim. In that congregation, everybody is a tzaddik. Everybody is holy. Who put you, who made you, a big shot? The man showed it. While it says tzaddikim, the man came to the opening of their tents. Rishonim had to walk far away to get it. So imagine somebody is there, check it out, a white beard, payas and everything. Wakes up in the morning, where's my man? You have to walk far. What did you do? What did you do? That you have to walk far for the man. The man revealed exactly who you are. The man revealed what kind of revelation of Malchus HaKadosh Baruch Hu you actually constitute with the everyday being. In the desert, it was a daily occurrence. In other words, they had a hand on the pulse, exactly what they were holding, the Avodas Hashem, by where the man fell. Maybe I don't know, 10 feet away, 50 feet away. Malchus and Parnasa are completely connected to one another. It's a state of mind. That's because a person gets Parnasa, he gets authority, he gets Malchus. Okay? So we have now established what's the connection between Malchus and Parnasa. Okay? Comes a second question. Where does the Malchus get the Parnasa from? Malchus is the lowest sphere there is, right? It gets from above. What does it get it from? And this is what the Rebbe explains here. The Malchus mekabel Parnasa mibchinas hayadayim sheyesh b'yam ha'chochma. There is a level which is called Yam HaChochma, the sea of wisdom. That's the sphere of Chochma. The Hainu Remazim. And in that Yam HaChochma, there is an aspect of hands. Rabbi says these are the hints. When the tzaddik, when the Chocham, or when you learn, the words convey the information. But there is also things, there's also knowledge which is not conveyed in the words themselves. The tzaddik did not reveal it. How does he reveal it? With his hands. When I say, for instance, it was a big book. Okay, so it wasn't a small book. But what does it mean, big book? Okay, I can say a big book. I can say a big book. I can say a big book, right? So the bare information of the Chokhmah is a big book. How big is being hinted at, being alluded to with the yadayim, with the hands? It's called a very simplified example of how the hands basically give you a more subtle explanation of what the raw data is. Okay? So it says ultimately it receives from the Yadayim Shebiyam HaChochma, Kmo Shekosuv, Matisi Yodi, Ve'ein Makshiv. Perush Rashi, I lent my hand to hint to them to come back to me, like a person who is telling his friend, come over with his hand. The Hainu Remazim. These are the things, the Remazim, the hints that exist in Yam HaChochma, and Pchinas Yadayim. Then Rabbeinu explains, when the Chocham revealed his Chochma, the Famim Omer is a Dibor, sometimes he says something, Shimram is bo Remazim Talmidim, that he's hinting things to his Talmid, to his students, that which he cannot actually say it out loud, cannot put it into words. In the Dibur itself, there's Ramazim. Even when you say it's a big book, it's a big book, it's a big book. Those are all the same word. But in the way that it's being said in the Dibur, there's a remez of how big that big is. In the Dibur itself, there is Ramazim that give you more information about the Shudach Chochmah. There are Ramazim shesh b'Dibur, mehem mevinim kavanosah. Only by the Ramazim that there is in the speech of the Chocham, the word he speaks, then they can understand what he is talking about. Because we said before that the Chacham has to make a boundary to what he reveals, not to reveal too much. Because he reveals too much, makifin that, unlimited makifin will come in. They won't be able to handle it. He won't be able to handle it. There are certain things that the Chacham is not allowed to reveal explicitly. He's not allowed to say the word. If he will say it, there will be new makifim coming to his own seichel, makifim that is beyond his capacity. Sometimes he needs not to receive that makif. But since the Chacham wants to bestow goodness to the people, he wants to reveal it to them. And he wants to let them know, the illumination of his holy das, his holy knowledge, his holy understanding, comprehension, completely. But so also things that are not allowed to be revealed for Talmidim, he's hinting them to them. He's giving them hints. So they should have a certain kind of a saga in what they're talking about. If the Talmidim are worthy, they'll be able to say, I got there's something there, which is beyond what he said. And these remazim, these hints, are bechina of yadayim. Has natisis yodi. Has yadayim sheyesh b'yam ha'chochma. Because the wisdom that the Chocham revealed is called the sea of wisdom. Okay? This sea is great and of wide hands. It's a Lashon Kodesh expression of very, very wide, spacious land. What does it mean wide, of wide hands? What does it mean? You're saying in benching. What does the dime have to do with that? What does the hands have to do with that? What does Ramazim have to do with that? Ramazim talk about the level of Makifin. We say Makifin is something that you know something about, but you don't really know it fully. Right? So when you have a Yama Chochma, whatever you say explicitly is being said, is Kiviyochel like a Ora Pnimi of what it's a Yama Chochma, that's what the Chochma reveals to his students. And within the Yama Chochma, there is a Bechina of Yadayim, the Bechina of hinting. Beyond that, beyond the Yama Chochma, which the Chochma is not allowed to reveal, but he wants to. So he gives you hints. If you are worthy, you will get them. These hands that are the connection to Sphere Sakesa, as we said before, the Yama Chochma is the sphere of Chochma. Beyond Sphere Chochma, there's Sphere Sakesa. The Sphere Sakesa is Pchinas Oraponim. This is the Rotzin. This is the will. Everything comes from there. What is the thing that differentiates the poor person from the rich person? The will to make money. The first thing that comes is the will. Once the will comes down, okay, let's talk about how. But the first thing is the will. The will belongs in the level of the Keser. It's the level of the Makifin. So the Adam Yama Chochma receive from the Keser, from the Makifin, receive the Shefa, from Oraponim, into Yama Chochma, and it goes down. Then it trickles down further. Bivchinas, the Emele Adam Kabel Bivchinas Malchus Tapanosa, the Malchus receive also from these hands. Bivchinas Posech Es Yodecha, you're opening your hands. And you satiate all living rotzon, will. In other words, once you give a person the will, the rest is going to follow. As they say, well, there's a will, there's a way, right? Hashem is coming from these yadayim. The Rebbe also says, different Torah, on this, Poseches Yadecha, Umatzber Chochai Ratzon, opening your hands and bestowing to all living Ratzon. Once you give them Ratzon, they'll have Panos, no problem. There is Hashem, as the Rebbe says, that every single thing has a tachlis. And he says, and the sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila, the end result is equal to the first idea. Let me give it a mashal. A person wants to build a house, okay? And then you have to build a house. Now, build a house. Where are you going to build it? How big is it going to be? Where are you going to do it? This is where the house is in your machshava. It starts with, I want a house. It's a rotzing. It comes keneged Shem Havaya Baruch Hu, the Yud Kei Vav Kei. The Yud is the machshava. I want a house. The Yud Kei, the Kei Vav Kei, this is where the house is going to be, how the house is going to be, and how big it's going to be. In the level of planning. Then comes Shem Aleph Dal Nun Yud. That's the the last letter is the Yud. So then you're now talking about where the house is actually built Lamaisa, how big it's actually built Lamaisa, and when it is built Lamaisa, and what happened at the end. Hey, I have a house, the Yud. So the beginning of the Yud, I have an idea, I want a house. And at the end of the Yud, I have a house, has to have 3 steps in the planning stage. Where, what, how? And then has to be Lamaisa, where, what, and how. And then the end result, you have a house, is mamash identical to the original thought. Everything else in between was just how to get it done, how it's going to be. Rebbe says everything exists in the bechina of potential. This means that the yuds are together. They're glued to one another. I just have an idea. I want a house. I don't know what. I don't know where. I don't know how it's going to be, and I don't have any plans. I don't have any builders. Everything is everything is closed up together. What happens is when you open up the hands, the yud of the yud kevavke, from an idea, from the will, the pure will to have a house, it comes into concrete plans. And from that, it gets into concrete steps and it ends up what the idea was. I have a house. So the Yus were together when you open it up. The Kev of K in Shem Havaya Baruch Hu, the Aleph Dalet Nun in Shem Adnos, then you have Sof Meiser, B'machshavat Chilo. The end result is in the first initial thought. Same thing is happening here. The Yadayim in the Yama Chochma, this is the Yadayim that reach up to P'chinas Makif and P'chinas Keser. That's the will. And from the will, this Potech et Yadecha, you open up the hands. You open up the hands, and ultimately you give the Parnasa to the Malchus. From the Keser comes all the way to the Malchus. That's why in the spheres, whenever it is, in any realm, the Malchus, the Keser of the lower Madrega is the Malchus of the Madrega above it. Because the Malchus and the Keser are ultimately, are built for one another. The Keser is what you want. The Malchus is the ultimately get it done. What do you get done? That's what you wanted. The Malchus is receiving from the Keser. And the Keser is just pure will. It's not even the Chochmah. You're not even making plans. How are you going to do it? How much? Can you get a mortgage? Can you do it? How? An architect? You don't know anything. You just want. Ultimately, it results in the Malchus. Malchus has the Parnas. Okay? So basically, the will, the Ratzon, manifests itself in the Malchus. The Malchus is a manifestation of what you wanted. What you wanted is the Keser, is Ratzon. The Malchus is, go ahead and do it. Don't just talk about it. So what we will do in Mitzvah Hashem, we will stop here. It's very easy to overload on every time, specifically on this particular halach. So we will stop here. Mitzvah Hashem, next week we'll make a little synopsis so we can sort of refresh it and continue the Mitzvah Hashem on. So first of all, everybody should have a great Shabbos, Pashas Balak. The first and only Pasha where Am Yisrael is being looked at from the point of view of the nations. So, B'ezrat Hashem, we should all have good Shabbos and refuah to all the Cholim, especially the ones, refuah Shlema for Moshe Eliyahu ben Rivka, David Shlomo ben Perl Frumet, and all Chol Yisrael B'at Hashem, and all those who are healthy will be strong and forever young, right? B'at Hashem. Zecher b'yesur v'nignas B'at Hashem. So, v'vies Mashiach Tzidkeinu. Kol tov.